Infatuation can be another dangerous thing. Some people can mistake infatuation for love, and when these things are melded together, it can lead to temptations that become uncontrollable. Today, I'm going to cover a woman named Ciara Harp, a woman who became so infatuated with someone, and because the feelings were not returned, it resulted in a tragic ending. Without further ado, let's get on with it. At the age of 24, Ciara was a nightclub promoter, determined to make a name for herself. She was very good at her job, and she enjoyed doing the job because it provided her the independence she craved. However, even as a nightclub promoter, there was still something missing in her life, and one night she realized what it was, or rather, who it was. During one of her usual nightclub promotions, she meets a young up-and-coming rapper named Raheem Grant. Starstruck and fascinated with Raheem, she was determined to have him all to herself, to the point of telling a friend of hers she intends to make him her next baby daddy. Oh my gosh, here we go. Why is that the very first thing some women go to? Not to say men don't have a weak agenda in some cases as well, but I find it hilariously weak to appeal to the use of sex in order to tie down a person that you want, instead of allowing the person to see the good in you. Resorting to tie down a person is not a way to keep a person willingly. During this event, Ciara introduced herself as the nightclub promoter, and the reason why the events at the nightclub happen. Intrigued by her work ethic, Raheem gave her a job as his promoter for his gigs, and she was very good at it. Before long, Raheem began to make an even bigger name for himself due to the promotions by Ciara. The two became business partners and both became good friends due to the long hours worked at the music studios, working together and networking. Raheem was well known for his fashion statements during the events. He would arrive wearing designer shoes, design clothes, and 2 long braids. This was something that Ciara was also fascinated by, and she also felt that she was a part of something big for the first time of her life. As she became more and more starstruck, she became more obsessed with Raheem and his world. Ciara found herself in love with Raheem. However, it was a one-sided affair. Raheem only looked at her as a friend and would refer to her as his homegirl. Needless to say, this didn't sit well with Ciara, and as such, she was determined to change his mind. Ciara began to get more delusional to the point of her pretending the two were a couple. She began to believe her own lies, and even going so far as telling people they were actually together. Ciara tried whatever she could to get Raheem's attention, but Raheem wasn't interested in her. No matter how she'd dress or flirt with him, he only looked at her as a friend. Even though he let her know these things, she still tried to keep other women away from him. Good grief. This is delusion at its finest. A normal person, in my opinion, would have just kept it moving, and this is one reason why humanity has its struggles. Some people just lack the ability to separate fantasy, fiction, and reality, and because of this, the lack of control of feelings take over. Ciara sets a plan to trap Raheem, since he wasn't interested in a relationship with her. She figured she'd just make sure to keep Raheem in her life in a different way. 2 months after meeting Raheem, the two decided to have a celebration one night due to a contract Raheem landed. This will go on to be crucial because Ciara set her trap in motion. She spiked his drink with a drug, making him extremely drowsy. By doing this, she proceeded to have relations with him. Raheem was so drowsy to the point of not even remembering the two being intimate. Wow, this is just horrible. This is flat out grape, and in her limited mind, she figured if he became her baby's dad, then it's possible to be his wife. This is some crazy shit. Now, if the situation were reversed, this man would be looking at penalties, jail time, and all sorts of things. Goes to show you how screwed up things are in society. Anyway, Ciara ends up getting pregnant and informs Raheem. He doesn't believe her due to not being able to remember the night in question. Several months down the line, Ciara has a baby girl and also presents DNA proof to Rahim, proving he's the father. After showing him proof, she still had the delusion of the two of them being husband and wife. However, once again, her plan backfires. Rahim is furious at her for setting him up. The baby didn't change the situation in the least. He wanted to be a father without being in a relationship with Ciara. After hearing this from Rahim, Ciara became angry. 3 weeks after having the baby, she abandons the child by leaving her with Rahim. Wow, this woman is garbage truck juice. And that poor child was only born for the sole purpose of living out a fantasy that was in her head, and when it didn't work, the poor child was just collateral damage in her eyes. However, Rahim didn't look at the child as collateral. He wanted to be a good dad. He files for full custody. Ciara decides to be spiteful and objects to Rahim wanting full custody and doesn't consent. According to sources, in the state of Georgia, an unwed father has no rights to the child, which is dumb as hell. And Ciara knew this, which is why she declined his rights to have custody. My goodness, I despise spiteful bitches. She decided to use the baby as a pawn to stay in Rahim's life. However, life doesn't work out for Ciara. She falls on hard times after losing her job. She became homeless. Knowing this, Rahim does the ultimate kindness and also a favor to himself as an empathetic father by allowing both Ciara and his child to come live with him. The delusions began to come back for Ciara. She began to believe once more that she and Rahim can be a couple. However, Rahim wasn't interested in a relationship in the least. Rahim vocally voiced this to her, in which case it infuriates her. She became unstable once more, and the two began to argue frequently. On December 29, 2017, Rahim and his personal trainer were hanging out. Ciara was upset that his trainer was a woman, so she decided to ruin the good time the two were having by starting another argument. The personal trainer decided to leave after feeling uncomfortable. Even after she left, Ciara and Rahim continued to argue to the point where it got physical. I say physical only due to Ciara attacking him. Rahim decided to get on his phone and go live, showing the world his wounds from Ciara attacking him. The live feed managed to show him bleeding. However, this didn't stop Ciara from arguing with him live. Rahim looks at the camera and says, "You see what this bitch did to me? This is what Ciara Harp did to me." This ignites Ciara to the point to where she pulled out a gun. And by the time Rahim realized this, she had already fired the first shot, hitting him in his spine. Rahim falls to the floor as she continues to shoot him. Clinging to life, he tries to reason with Ciara by telling her if she kills him, she'll go to jail for life, and not to do this to their child. However, Ciara doesn't listen as she shoots him again. Realizing this is his final moments, Rahim crawls toward his daughter, but he was sadly interrupted due to Ciara shooting him one last time, ending his life. This is so sad and cringy. The whole thing stuns the onlookers considering the whole event was live. Ciara stupidly decided to use the live as a woman-scorned excuse. She shuts the camera off afterwards and came up with one of the dumbest master plans. She stabs her legs several times to implicate Rahim as the culprit. Afterwards, she grabs her child and stumbles to her neighbor's house. Her neighbor contacts the police and the paramedics. After being bandaged up, Ciara spoke to the police. For a moment, her self-defense statement worked until the police managed to get footage of the live feed made by Rahim, and a shocking discovery was made. Not only was the incident captured and posted live, the police noticed she had no stab wounds to her legs in the video. After confronting her, she still sticks with self-defense until the police pressed play on the video, indicating Rahim could not have stabbed her. With no defense, she remained quiet. She was arrested immediately after. In 2019, Ciara Harp was convicted of 5 counts of aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during a crime, and voluntary manslaughter. She is sentenced to 125 years in prison. This is one of the saddest cases I've come across. This stupid woman could not separate her fantasy world and couldn't stand to see it collapse. I'm glad justice was served for Rahim. However, there was no real winner here. Another child was left on this earth without parents due to selfishness. Ladies and gentlemen, please learn to control your emotions. And please consider not just your life, consider your children and family and what you'll be leaving behind.